Ulama warathatul anbiya. Scholars of deen, they are the inheritors of the prophets. Who they are? The scholars of deen, the scholars of this religion, who they are? They are the inheritors of the prophets. And prophets do not inherit wealth. Warathul ilm, they inherit knowledge. That is the responsibility of the scholars to take on and preach to everyone that knowledge that is being inherited by prophets. There is a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not take away knowledge by snatching it from the chest of people. Knowledge is not being taken away from snatching it from the chest of people, but it is being taken away by the death of scholars. So what will happen when that happens? When scholars are dying one by one? This hadith is in Bukhari. The Prophet ﷺ continued by saying that uneducated people will become leaders. When the ulama, when the scholars will go one by one, uneducated people will become leaders. And people will go to them for guidance. They themselves will be misguided and they will misguide others. So the quality and quantity of ilm and knowledge, Islamic knowledge, as time goes by, will decrease. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, we know his rank and status. When Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu passed away, the great giant Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he mentions that with the passing of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, 9/10 of knowledge has been buried. 9/10 of knowledge has been gone. With whom? With the passing of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. When Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu passed away, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu mentioned, pointing to the grave of Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, he has said, with the passing of this man, a big chunk of knowledge has been gone. And we can echo the same sentiments with Hazrat Maulana Shafayat Rahmatullahi alayhi. I don't call him Sheikh, I call him Hazrat Maulana, because we have this mutual relationship. He calls me Hazrat also, right? And Hazrat is someone who is respected and honored. So we call each other Hazrat. So we can echo the same sentiments with Hazrat Maulana, that with his passing, a big chunk of knowledge of deen has been buried. Respected gathering, there is another incident that I want to mention about Imam Abu Yusuf rahmatullahi alayhi. Who was Imam Abu Yusuf? He was the student of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. When he was sick and he was in his last days, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi came to see him. And his teacher, who was Imam Abu Hanifa, realized that my student is dying, he's going. And he said to him that I had desired and my wish was for you to continue my legacy. That my legacy should have been continued through you. But now you are leaving this world and you are dying. It seems like a big chunk of the knowledge of deen is also going with you together. When you and I were in the al-arwah, the world of the souls, we were in lines, as comes in hadith, and facing each other. And because of that, sometimes you will find two people clicking very quickly. From the time you see someone, you appreciate them. You want to be around them. You want to be with them because of that nisba and that association from alamul arwah. And for two people, sometimes you never click. You never seem to be together. But for Maulana, as I said, we had a great camaraderie. We had great respect for each other and great understanding. And you can understand from this that the relationship that we had together, the family of Maulana had decided for me to do his last rites and to perform his janazah. That by itself speaks volume of our relationship together. I remember it was same January last year. January when Maulana's father passed away, am I right? It was January. And I was in the hospital. I had to undergo a surgery. And I came out, I asked actually to be released from the hospital the same evening that the funeral was going on. And I went directly from the hospital to the cemetery. And there was it, Maulana, he asked me that I would like you to do the last dua and rites of my father. The last dua and the last, burial rites of my dad. This was the relationship we had with each other. So when scholars are not around, it's a big loss for this, not only the community, not only the society, but for the entire ummah at large. It's a big loss. And I'm not talking about scholars that we have today. I'm talking about scholars who sat at the feet of ulama and studied for years. Not people who just click their tongues and can say some words. I'm not talking about those people. Maulana, mashallah, he went in the 70s. I had the privilege to go to study in the 80s. And we sat in front of teachers for many years and studied. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed certain people, as was mentioned earlier. One, you have heard it in his lecture, one is acceptance and one is having accolades. Which one is better? Having so many accolades or acceptance? Acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what counts. One is ilm and amal, knowledge with practice. Today there are so many knowledge. You go on YouTube and you go on social media, you can pull anything you want to. And anybody can be talking. But where is the aspect of amal? Ilm follows amal. You must practice what you preach, and you must practice what knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you, or else it's a waste of time. It's not rattling and saying, going on the mimbar and just say a few words and you become an orator. No. It's not what is that all about. Ilm has to be followed with amal. And this is very much absent in the people of today. Very absent. Maulana's legacy will not only be continued through his children or his students, but inshallah it will continue through his service to the entire ummah. Understand this. His service to the ummah, not only through his children and his students. What you're doing it today, mashallah, is good. But his service will continue through the entire ummah. And I will conclude with this because of time. There are many people who are dead and gone, but they are still being remembered today. Why? Because of their contribution to society. Because of their contribution to society, they are being remembered today. And there are people who are alive, but in the minds and the perceptions of people, they are dead. Why they are dead? Because they have nothing to do with society. They live a selfish life. This life is not to be lived selfishly, it's to be lived selflessly. You've heard it again and again. So let us take an example, right? Let us take an example and value and honor those ulama who are still here with us, who are still serving this community. Because you don't know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be taken away ilm by taking the ulama away. And